Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome. This is the Windup. Once again, we are here. First show of the month of April, by the way. And what does that mean? Conference play is only heating up. We have got a jam-packed show for you here on this Thursday, April 3rd. We're talking everything, of course, that happened in the midweek and looking ahead to a jam-packed slate. We got a pair of series starting tonight, Thursday through Saturday. All the rest get going on Friday. Some premier matchups in the SEC. The way I like to look at it, it's good on good. Iron sharpens iron. We're going to find out a lot this week, learn a lot. Once again, guys, this is the Windup. I'm Chris Phillips. He is Harrison Fant, joining me once again as he always does. Before we get going, guys, make sure, as always, you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out via podcast, or we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $200 in bonus bets today. Once again, this is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show, the best college baseball show on the internet. And we are here, again, first show of the month of April. Time flies when you're having fun, but we have entered the month of April, which means conference play is heating up. Field of 64 projections are starting to drop. That means postseason resumes are getting put together and conference play. And only there's more emphasis each and every single weekend on every single one of these games. We're talking it all entering conference weekend number 4. And once again, I am Chris Phillips. I'm joined as always by my good friend, co-host, and colleague, Harrison Fant. Harrison, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. I want to say this, Harrison. I want to say this, give you some motivational words when we get going.
Okay.
Can you believe it? There's some people that would have preferred we didn't show up today. There's some people out there, they were hoping and praying that SEC Unfiltered wouldn't have clicked that live button today. Wouldn't have punched that clock today. And you know what?
Would be me.
We're
Could
here
not
anyway.
be me.
We're here despite them. We're here for the people because the people need to hear the good word of college baseball, specifically SEC baseball. And damn it, man, I'm fired up to be chatting with you, dude. What's going on?
Stoked to be here. And, even more so now that there's people that, didn't want us here because, we're here to grow the game of college baseball and to do so through the SEC, the best conference in college baseball, 5 straight national champions by different teams. There should be, and we expect there to be a 6th this upcoming year, this season for sure. And, punching the clock, baby, punching the clock and all the way to through this season into the SEC tournament, the postseason, and then back in sweet home Omaha, Nebraska.
The special connection we have with you guys when we get to Omaha and everybody's wanting to talk college baseball, and we'll just ask a simple question. Where were you on that Tuesday or Wednesday where that psycho pitcher did that funny thing? Nowhere to be found. But we were. We were there. Hey, we were there back in cold February, hanging out with you guys on a Friday night of a Friday night of a non-conference weekend. We were there. We were there talking about Slapdick State and so going at it. We were there. A lot of people still having fun with that comment, but anyways, I digress. Harrison, that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Like I said, we got a lot to get into. The month of April is officially here, which means, again, everything's only heating up. That includes the midweek. Harrison, I just mentioned as we talk about the midweek, psycho pitchers, our favorite psycho pitcher in the world was at it again. I don't know if you saw my repost on my personal Twitter, but our favorite psycho pitcher from Texas State with the shimmy and the antics, he was at it again. Texas State, the Giant Killers, they live for these midweek games. They take down Texas at Dish Falk. That wasn't the only notable result. UAB beat Auburn. That was another big upset. We did have Oklahoma beat Texas Tech, Mississippi State outlasting Memphis. A&M, listen, I know it's in our incarnate word, but you score 21 runs, you at least have something to feel good about. They haven't had a lot to smile about, so it's something to about.
What would it be without Chris Phillips and technical issues? I mean, it feels like a tradition unlike any other. Where is it? Right here. A tradition unlike any other at Augusta National. I know Chinook Cedary can attest to that. So this time, I guess it wasn't the camera, but we'll have to see what it is.
Now it's the other camera.
Chris, this is definitely kangaroo court. This is Definitely kangaroo court. I mean, exactly. Where is it? Right here.
I do not know what to say for myself. I really don't.
All I know what to say is, where is it?
I have no words. I have no words for what just happened. I have no idea. I genuinely at this point, maybe it's the MAC. I don't know. I don't know. It's a 2021.
I mean, Chris, the thing is, this isn't preseason.
It's not. This
isn't spring training.
Maybe I might have to buy a new Mac before the College World Series. That might have to be a thing. So,
tradition unlike any other.
Maybe it wasn't the camera. I don't know. That's weird, though.
I mean, weird. Kangaroo court. We'll talk about it in court this week.
Anyways, your thoughts on the midweek? I don't know. I just, hey, they do everything they can. They do everything they can to get us off. They can't do it, though. They can't do it. Your thoughts on the midweek, Harrison? Pair of upsets. A lot of teams took care of business. I think I was talking about A&M scoring 21 runs, and I think that overloaded the server there. It could not handle A&M having success. Anything else? Mizzou swept the midweek like you predicted.
Hey,
good on you.
Just saying, Mizzou sweeping the midweek. I said it was going to happen. By the skin of our teeth did it happen, Chris. The absolute skin of our teeth.
They did score, I think, 25 runs.
Barn burner of just a slugfest for them in game 1, 25 runs on Tuesday, and then game 2 of that midweek back-to-back with the same team, walking it off. I mean, hey, it hits. I mean, a win's a win, right?
A win is a win. I mean, listen, they swept the midweek. So Mizzou building some momentum. Texas State, though, man, that was the one that jumped out. I will say this. The last time Texas lost a midweek like that before an SEC series, they took 2 or 3 from LSU. So
it's true.
That's
true. And Georgia blew up their midweek. I mean, 20 runs again. They put up a football score.
Yeah, which is what you expect from that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, granted, look who they played competition-wise. It just wasn't, even close. But, I mean, I think for Texas, it's good to see, especially when you have Jace Lavalette. Texas A&M, excuse me. It's good when you see Jace Lavalette heating up as much as he did with 7 RBIs, Chris. And, I mean, and he left 2 guys on base. I mean, he was great to see him. That's just what we expect from Jace Lavalette and the talent that he is. And you got Ben Royo as well, who had a monster day, 4 RBIs. I mean, I know we said it, Chris, early in the season when they, had a really big midweek, and I think when they won their last non-conference game, it's like, this is just kind of the offense ramping up. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say it is, but like, it's got to, especially when you go into the weekend playing Tennessee, the number 1 team in the country, the team that beat you in the national championship game last year at their house. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think too, man.
There's no room for error anymore.
No, there isn't. Like I said, good on good. We've got a lot of those matchups this weekend. It's you got to bring your best every weekend.
Yeah, I think, and then for Texas State, Texas, I'll mention too. It's just the 4 spot in the 8th. I mean, it was just error, single, homer. I mean, those errors kill you, Chris. I don't care if it's a midweek or not. Like it proved to be, in a midweek right now versus a weekend. But I thought Cade Bling looked sharp. I mean, he wasn't even like striking guys out. He wasn't dominating the zone. He just, he had a few walks, but he just got guys to get themselves out, and he threw 6 in the 3rd, no-hit innings. And then Jason Flores just struggled on the mound for himself in just under 2 innings. And then, I mean, you use 2, I think weekend arms that you're going to see in Jason Flores and Andre Duplantier II. I mean, but this is what we talk about, Chris, which is midweek teams that, gutsy teams that want to beat these big schools, ACC and SEC, right? Texas State did it with A&M early in the season, which obviously doesn't look as big of a win now, but like you do it against Texas at Texas. I mean, that's when you're throwing their best guys. They're like, they have to build up their RPI as well. And those are the teams you're going to see the postseason. So, we need to see how we match up against them, and to be able to kind of limit the offensive production of Texas's lineup, I think was, I don't want to say telling, but just saying it's definitely doable on a scale that Texas State can do it. So we'll see. I mean, maybe that boosts some confidence for Georgia's, inconsistent kind of offense or pitching production, saying, hey, if Texas State can do it, we should be able to for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it doesn't have much impact on how I think about the weekend, the way to go. First game without Max Ballou, though. I think that's notable. The offense struggles a little bit. Will Gasparino still swinging the bat like a man possessed, but No Max Ballou. We're obviously going to talk about that. That's a huge storyline. Excuse me, going into the weekend. You lose the first game without him. So I've also too. I mean, they're a little banged up right now. Texas is.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. I mean,
and Texas State's a quality club. I mean, again, they live for those midweek games, man. So
yeah, and you got A-Rod that was out of lineup too. I mean, I'm pretty sure who was the other injury they had? Galvan.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that
I think both those were day to day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I reached out to some sources to see it. It's just day to day still. I don't think they're sure if A-Rod's gonna be playing this weekend. I don't think. Yeah, not sure about A-Rod. I mean, Galvan may be able to play this weekend, but I mean, it's on his hand. And like, how do you foul ball off the index finger? Like, that's a big important thing. Like, you talk about a pitcher gets a blister. That's a big deal too, because if it's on their pitching hand, like that's every pitcher. Like, you don't have that command, that control, that sharpness, or that confidence even. So little injuries like that can nag players longer than fans and people think they should. But I mean, they've got guys that talented guys that can step up. It's just you're going to see a lot about Texas's depth this weekend, and where they stand, kind of an off the bench kind of situation versus I think cross country with Tennessee's depth and LSU's depth off the bench as well.
Harrison, speaking of LSU, they take down La Tech 12-3. The final, that one was uncompetitive. La Tech not very good this year. Vandy outlasted Western Kentucky 5-4.
I said it was gonna be a close one.
Yeah, Western Kentucky's a scrappy club for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I told you they got 5 guys that are hitting over 330 in their lineup.
Dude, how about Alabama? Alabama had a little bit of a battle with Samford. They won that game 11-9.
Yeah,
had to score one.
I don't want to say rivalries, but like big brother, little brothers. With these kind of mid majors versus Alabama, Auburn, like the SECs and the ACCs versus these mid major clubs. I mean, Auburn, UAB, and they played. I mean, at Auburn, and UAB is not a bad club, but like I know it's midweek, but like no one would expect them to lose to them, but just to be able to, I think, quiet Auburn's offense in a way that they did. I mean, they had I think they had 8 hits, but like they scattered them out throughout the game. I mean, you're up 1-0 in the first, and then just the middle of the game is when UAB took advantage and scored some runs. But we talk about limiting the bleeding and limiting offensive production. Like, I think Auburn's kind of streaky in their offensive production. It's Ike Irish has a huge game. We talk about Cooper McMurray has a huge game. Bristol Carter maybe has a great game in the leadoff spot, but like it's just like Bub Terrell. He's had big moments too. He hasn't played it as much as I think and others think he should or would, but it just isn't a stacked deep lineup that's able to produce consistently throughout, or in place of when the top half's not producing, the bottom half can produce like Georgia's lineup can.
Yeah, they are a bit of a streaky club. Auburn is, I would say. You mentioned them. Again, losing to UAB. What does it mean? They got a huge series upcoming this weekend. Outside of that, Harris, it's funny too, man. I highlighted Missouri sweeping the midweek. They had they actually walked off their Wednesday game.
I told you, they walked it off.
Was the only game on Wednesday that walked it off. I post the highlight, and people are still thinking I'm like we're belittling Mizzou. I'll be honest with you. I took it as an opportunity. Like how often are we going to have the opportunity to post Mizzou highlights? I mean,
yeah,
we got to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
so
I've taken advantage of the Missouri opportunities throughout the season, and I'm 2 for 2 so far. But hey, Missouri going hot into the weekend, sweeping the midweek at Phi Delta Theta Stadium. I mean, tough place to play in as a midweek.
Yeah, the other one I want to mention, Florida beats North Florida. Bobby Baseball, big grand slam in that game. Huge for the Gators to build some momentum, obviously going into, I think, to what is to this point their biggest series of the season. We'll talk more on that in a second. And then State as well. Mississippi State building some momentum, beating Memphis. Again, I know people just want to say it's just a midweek game, but anything you can build confidence off of, feel good about. They've got a huge home series upcoming this weekend as well at the Dude. Need as much to feel good about as they possibly can. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend, Harrison, no doubt. A lot of notable. And oh, by the way, ho-hum, Tennessee beat Tennessee Tech 7-1. That's
go back to when Tennessee Tech was just a slugfest of a team. When
they
went on that heater in the postseason.
Yeah,
Cinderella story. I had a friend that played there, and they just somehow had arms for days. It felt like. So
yeah, they are.
You're not big on the Cinderella anymore. You just think like NIL and portals kind of taking that away. I really do agree for the most part. I'm not saying it won't happen, but just the level at which we've seen it, which is every couple of years, every 8 years, the mid majors won the national championship, and then I mean, obviously with the COVID, that kind of pushed things out, and then, NIL portal nowadays, but like, I think we're still going to see a mid-major, make a run in a regional and maybe a super.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I feel like some of the parity, there's still parity in college baseball, obviously. Some of it, this is a whole other conversation. Some of it, we're losing some of it because of the portal. Because
I mean, I'll pick a mid-major. I'll say right now, I'll pick a mid-major to go deep in the postseason. I'm not going to pick one to go to Omaha.
Yeah.
I'll say, hey, this is going to be my mid-major regional pick postseason.
I mean, dude, Evansville made the supers last year and won a
game.
They
were a game away from Omaha, Chris, against the national champions.
They were never winning.
The number one seed.
They were never winning that game.
Oh, I know, but like they were.
They were a game away. That is a fact. That is a fact. That being said, Harrison, let's dive into the weekend. Again, we have got a jam-packed weekend, 8 big-time series on the docket. Before we do, guys, I want to tell you about our friends, of course, at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. This bracket season, FanDuel's letting you make the call because right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to bet on everything, from clutch shots to last-second heartbreaks and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join, there's no better time. There's tourney action almost every day, and FanDuel has amazing bet types like spreads, totals, game props, and so much more. Myself, Dave Shoemate, we've been giving our picks for all of these games. We're going to continue to do so throughout the weekend. Final Four, national title, Taylor's fade us, whatever you want to do. Whatever you do, though, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/SECU and get in on the college hoops action all tourney long. Must be 21 and up and present in select states or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online, real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports. Wait, did you lose me?
No, I got you.
Okay, I got a notification when with something. Okay, cool. Anyways, I'm just double checking. Now I'm paranoid about it. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Harrison, one of these days, I'm going to figure out all the technical issues. So I thought I got a notification on my Mac, and I'm like, oh, my God, we just lost me. Mid-ad read. But either way, here we are. We're rocking and rolling. Thank y'all. We're not a logistics company. I'm not a technology company. We're not a technology company.
Some of us more tech savvy than others, though.
We're just a couple dudes, man, just trying to make it shake. So anyways, that being said, conference weekend number 4 officially rocking and rolling. Harrison, we got a Paris series Thursday through Saturday. That being said, let's go ahead and rock and roll and get into it. We will start in Norman, Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners hosting the LSU Tigers. Primetime opportunity, Harrison, for OU. Game's on ESPN2 tonight, by the way. Big time matchup there.
Big time for the brand.
Big time for the brand. That ballpark going to be on full display for better or for worse, but it's going to be on full display.
One of Chris's favorite SEC ballparks.
Yeah, favorite SEC ballpark. It should be electric. I am curious what the atmosphere is going to be. And I know LSU folks, they're not fired up. They had to go to both Texas and Oklahoma, which I obviously get. But I'll say this, Harrison. If you're going to make a road trip anywhere, with all due respect, I'd rather go here than some other places in the SEC. That's for sure. Either way.
Stadium?
Well, you definitely want to go there. But this is one of those where it's not like going to the Dude. It's not like going to Baum Walker. Heck, it's not like going to the Box where LSU plays. Either way, though, I know Oklahoma folks are excited for this one. A huge opportunity. They're looking to bounce back after losing the series on the road to Alabama. Kyson Witherspoon hasn't gotten a win in a while, right? They haven't won in a game one in a few weeks. He's trying to bounce back as well. That matchup tonight. By the way, LSU back-to-back weekends of Thursday through Saturday series. Very interesting. But that matchup tonight on the bump is going to be electric. Again, this is one of those good-on-good matchups I talked about. LSU going to rely on their youngsters, their young arms especially. There's been some unsettled folks in the Bayou down there about their pitching staff and some of the struggles they've had. Harrison, your thoughts on this weekend, this series? Huge opportunity for OU. LSU simply looking to go on the road, take a series. Your thoughts? Who comes out on top?
Chris, I think it's going to be a great series. And this is, I believe, LSU's first time playing in the state of Oklahoma in their program's history, I believe, from what I saw, if I'm correct on that. But it's going to be a good test for, I think, both clubs, but more so for Oklahoma to see what they're made of, at the midway, ish now past that point through the season against a national powerhouse in LSU, a team that's going to, as we all expect, I think, going to be a national seed hosting a regional and a super if they make it to that point. You're going to see a deep lineup 1 through 9 that can hit that, they have that home run power, but they don't have to rely on it. And then you're going to see what I think is one of the few teams in the country, and more focusedly on the SEC, clubs that has a Friday, Saturday, Sunday starter rotation that is very strong. I said before, I think Chase Shores is one of the, most slept on kind of starters in the SEC. That's not a Friday, Saturday guy. Obviously, I think more of a Saturday, Sunday guy, but stuff I think ceiling wise is great. It's very high. I mean, he's going to be, I think, a very highly touted recruit or draft prospect. He was a highly touted recruit, but I mean, to have that in a Sunday role, I think Oklahoma's going to have to really be battle tested against that, because the struggles that they've had, Chris, not only on Sunday, but Saturday, the starting role too. I mean, Malachi Witherspoon on Sunday, he's pitched a little bit in both, but more so Sunday, he's struggling. He's got a 5.74 ERA. I mean, he's got a 1.72 whip. I mean, it's just, he's gotten hit around. He's got 38 hits in 31 innings. I mean, he's got really great stuff. It's just finding too many barrels. And the lack of consistency starting pitching wise behind Kyson Witherspoon that Oklahoma has got has been, I think, I don't want to say kryptonite, but their biggest flaw. And I say that because not are they going to pick it up against LSU, but they can prove that, maybe things can turn around and they can compete on a Saturday, Sunday pitching wise with a team in the depth of caliber that LSU has. It is, but that's going to be, I think, the deciding factor and kind of my X factor for the game. It's not a player, but it's more of the Sunday role starter. The Saturday role as well, but more so the Sunday role, just because of the lack of, quality. I can't remember the last time I had a quality start in a Sunday role, Chris. And I know a lot, like if you have a Sunday starter that's, good that you can rely on the SEC, that's just having a diamond in the rough, because it's not a lot of teams have that. I'd say LSU, Tennessee, and Texas now with Ruger Riojas. But I mean, that's where you're going to get battle tested the most. And I think if you're going to beat LSU, you have to do it on Friday night, because you're not going to win Saturday and Sunday. You have to do it on Friday night. And I mean, Kyson Witherspoon has the ability to shut down an LSU lineup. I know LSU fans aren't going to love that, but he's that talented. He's that good and that consistently good, Chris. He's got a 2.3 ERA with a 0.95 whip. I mean, he's that elite, Chris. And he's got almost 2 strikeouts an inning. I mean, in college baseball, that's crazy to see. But if LSU can go into Norman, Oklahoma, and out pitch, I think, from a Kane Anderson versus Kyson Witherspoon, head to head, which is going to be, you want to talk about good pitching, Chris, watch that matchup. If you're a college baseball fan that likes a good pitching duel, watch that matchup, because once he gets the bullpen, then he gets, a little bit more fireworks action, I think, out of the batter's box. But you're going to a little bit of both, a little bit of everything you want in the game. But if Kane Anderson and LSU can win game 1 over Kyson Witherspoon, look for them going for the sweep, Chris, because I think it's absolutely doable. And I have LSU taking 2 with a chance to take 3, Chris, if they win game 1. You'd think that, Chris would figure out his technology by now, halfway through the season. I mean, I guess I just left him speechless, but I mean, to dive in more on it, like Malachi Witherspoon hasn't given the, quality of starts or the depth or length, but neither has, I mean, the rest, like Cameron Johnson struggled a ton when he's had opportunities. He's had 7 starts. He's got a 5.9 ERA as well, a 1.83 whip. I mean, just, he's not giving as much hits, but just a lot of walks. What's up, Chris? He's back.
I'm very done with this day.
He's back. And I was talking more about the pitching of Oklahoma and the lack of success they've had just with Cameron Johnson's struggles as well. And, he's got 21 strikeouts, 20 walks. I mean, in 19 innings, Chris. Like, that's to talk about, like, the depth and, quality of starts you need to win a series against a top 5 team.
This series reminds me a lot, Harrison, of the way we talked about Tennessee and Alabama, where I think Oklahoma is kind of on that level and in that tier. Very good club. The difference in those kinds of clubs is the depth. And I think, to your point, what you mentioned, there is a path for Oklahoma to win this series. There is. You have to win Friday. You have to win Friday. Being at home, I think, is obviously a shot in the arm. It's a positive for them. There is no question, even though it's not one of the most intimidating atmospheres in the SEC. But being at home, you have to. Kyson Witherspoon has got to be electric, and they got to win game one. They got to get out ahead of it because I do think LSU's got more depth than them. And if you lose game one, you're behind the 8 ball. I think Anthony Ianson, even though he's had some ups and downs, I like the matchup there. Chase Shores, I like the matchup there. And this LSU lineup is built to hit velocity. I know they're not leading the country or leading the SEC in power numbers, but they are built to have success. So there's a path for Oklahoma, no doubt. But I think it's a very, very narrow path. And I'm going to go with the more sure thing. I'm going to go with the team that I believe and trust in from a depth perspective, and that is LSU. So I'm going LSU as well, Harrison. I believe in the Bayou Bengals to go on the road, take 2 or 3. Again, I think what you're going to see this weekend is like we've seen before. There's just a difference in these teams that are tier 1 versus kind of knocking on the door of that, or more so your tier 2. Doesn't mean the tier 2 teams like an Oklahoma, Bama, et cetera, are bad teams. They're far from it. They're very, very good baseball teams. But it's just those extra, it's those couple guys, having those 2 or 3 or 4 guys that the other side doesn't, it's going to help you outlast in a series like this, especially on the road. So give me LSU. I agree with you again. Kyson, I am excited, to your point, to watch that match tonight. Kyson Witherspoon on the bump, Cade Anderson for LSU. That one is going to be electric. And we get college baseball on ESPN too, man.
Yeah.
We get it on the big channel. And it's not the postseason. We get it on the big channel. You absolutely love to see it. It's going to be electric. So, yeah, cannot wait to watch it. I'm going LSU. You're going LSU. Jake is going the Oklahoma Sooners.
Ooh,
Jake going with the
interesting
home
to hear that
dog.
take.
Jake going with the home dog in OU.
I respect it.
I respect
Anything
it
can happen
as well.
in the SEC, but
there's a path, like I said, but it starts tonight. Kyson Witherspoon's got to be special.
Sticking to my guns. I mean, you got a team that's almost 70 positions rank-wise better offensively batting average in LSU versus Oklahoma. They're 56 ranks better in OPS at 1.028 for LSU and 898 for Oklahoma. I just think that's even the offensive side, Chris. And WRC Plus, they're producing 72 more runs than the average team. That's LSU. And Oklahoma is a good swinging team. We've seen it before from them. They're producing 25% more runs than the average team. I mean, that's second ranked for LSU versus 71th ranked. I mean, that's just the offensive comparison, let alone the pitching comparison that I've made.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a really fun series, Harrison. It's really good on good. Again, I'm going LSU. You're going LSU, Jake, with Oklahoma. Let's go to Kentucky Ole Miss, the other Thursday through Saturday series. This one taking place in Lexington. Tricky road series for the Rebels, Harrison. They're feeling really, really good. Obviously, you take 2 or 3 from Florida last weekend, but we've seen Kentucky. I'm still trying to figure out what Kentucky is. I don't think they are what they were last year. Obviously, they're not going to go 22-8 in SEC play, but very, very scrappy. You know, when you face off against Nick Mingione's club, it's going to be a battle all 3 games. Back-to-back Thursday through Saturday, by the way, for Ole Miss. They are the other one like LSU that is doing that. Thoughts on this one, Harrison? Again, I feel like there's more knowns here with Ole Miss than Kentucky, but this one scares me. I'll be honest. This one really, really scares me. I think this Cats team, they're that team. I'll say this, Harrison. They're that team on any given weekend. Any given weekend, I think, can beat anybody. Really, truly. I mean, they went into College Station last weekend, beat Texas A&M 2 or 3, but it's like, is that more an indictment on A&M? Is that more you give credit to Kentucky? Like, they're hard to figure out, but all I know is this. It's going to probably come down to a Game 3 rubber match, and it's going to be a hell of a weekend for Ole Miss. It's just, this is Kentucky. I feel like every time with Nick Mingione leading the way, it's going to be a difficult weekend.
Yeah, and they're just a scrappy team. We talked about it like week after week about how, you know, they lead the SEC in stolen bases. They're just like, their MO is clean defense, stolen bases, and, you know, being able to successfully execute small ball. It's honestly similar in a way to Vanderbilt, but I think a little bit more stolen base wise. And Kentucky's technically 30th in the country in stolen bases at 61, which is crazy, but it's still first in the SEC, or second in the SEC behind Oklahoma now, who just passed them. But I think the key for them, it's going to be just pitching depth as well, because you have 3 solid, you know, starters as a whole. Really, 2 really strong starters for Ole Miss in Hunter Elliott, who's proven to be a high quality starter week in and week out. A little bit of struggles, but you also seen him look incredibly, incredibly sharp and strong to start the season. Riley Maddox, I think it's really going to come down to that Saturday game. I really do, because the struggles he's had now back-to-back weeks, Chris, of giving up, you know, 4 or 5 plus runs. I think it's 4 plus runs in 2 not quality starts in a row against teams that we feel like he should have been pitching at a much more higher dominant level, he's got it in the chamber. I'm not worried about that. It's just, can he come out against a really hard-nosed, gritty at-bat team in Kentucky that's going to get on, sacrifice or steal home base, do the opposite of one and sacrifice or stolen base, get him to third, and single maybe get him in. Like that's just kind of that like pest that Kentucky is. And it's in a positive way. I mean that in a positive way because they're not going to outslug you. But Ole Miss has the power to hit with power as well as hit for average. And I think it's going to come down to that, Riley Max having a good start on Saturday. And, Kentucky needs a great start out of Nick McKay. They really do on a Friday. I mean, I think it's going to be tough to out-pitch, Hunter Elliott, even though he's going to be on the road. But, you got Jackson Nove in the bullpen, who I think is one of their kind of go-to arms, and James McCoy as well. And, you need big-time guys that close their situation out when they come out of the pen against this kind of Ole Miss team that we've seen can, produce late in the game as well. And I think that's going to be a big kind of deciding factor for the game for me. And I think Ole Miss as a whole offense is better and stronger, a little bit more consistent of depth and run production. But when you look at the stats, Kentucky's got an edge on the pitching staff. And I don't think a lot of people would think that. I mean, they have a 4.46 ERA. Ole Miss has a 4.93. That's 25 ranks different. I mean, Whip's pretty close, but I mean, there's Sierra, which is interesting. Chris Sierra is basically a future expectation of ERA. Ole Miss is a 2.83, which is fourth in the country. Kentucky's a 3.97, which is 77th in the country. So the pitching matchup and kind of, I think, strategicness of it, but also what we get from Riley Max, what we get, from a Nick McKay is going to be the deciding factor in the game because both offenses can score in their own respective ways. So definitely, I think a slept on kind of under the radar series with other big series we have going on. But, I think an important series for both teams at the end of the day. I mean, and with that, I'm obviously rolling with Ole Miss on the road. I just think that they're consistently, pitching at a better level. I think that they have a higher swing with that I think is going to play well and outplay Kentucky's small ball, smart, aggressive base running style.
Yeah, I think to your point, underrated series is a good way to put this. Flying under the radar. Again, it scares me, Harrison. I'm going to go Ole Miss as well to take the series. I think Kentucky does get a game. But this is one, if you tell me at the end of the weekend Kentucky wins this series, I will not be surprised at all. It's just, to me, screams.
Depending on how they win. But, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. If it's a rubber match Sunday, they squeak it out.
Yeah, it just won't surprise me because, again, Kentucky does things to make you uncomfortable. They force the issue. They're going to make you play defense. They're going to bunt. They're going to steal. And I just think, again, fairly or unfairly, Harrison, I think Kentucky flies under the radar because we just don't think baseball. We think Kentucky. Like, we just don't. I mean, people didn't even want to give them credit last year for as good as they were. So,
yeah. I mean, watch out for Kentucky. Watch out for Ben Cleaver, a name that a lot of people don't know about because Kentucky's not a, big name baseball school. They're not a blue blood like they are in basketball, but also, they're not just a elite kind of talent across the board or, frontline stars in the SEC. But Ben Cleaver, 2.5 ERA, Chris, in his 7 starts and a sub-1 whip. I mean, it's just kind of an under-the-radar pitching staff that, like you said, wouldn't surprise me if they go shut down Ole Miss's offense enough at home in Lexington in front of the fans at Kentucky Proud Park. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's a really, really close series for sure.
Harrison, let's go to the weekend, Friday through Sunday series. We will start with one that we all had circled on our calendars before the season. Let's face it, it's lost some of its luster. It's not as appealing as it once was, but still very notable. That being the national title rematch between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Texas A&M Aggies. Imagine if I told you, Harrison, last year when they faced off with the national title, the situation for both. You'd have believed me with Tennessee. Sure. Yeah. Tony B and company, they're rolling. Texas A&M, you'd have called me crazy. But sure enough, here we are. A&M, they're looking for a bounce-back weekend from their pitching staff. Ryan Prager wasn't good. Lampkin, none of them were really all that great against the Kentucky Wildcats. That was something that faltered that we did not expect, although they won game 1 despite it. But the pitching staff just kind of fell apart last weekend. For Tennessee, Gavin Kylan, it sounds like, talking to folks, he's getting closer. Does he play this weekend? How much does he play, really, is the question. I think he will play, but how much will he play? And then, Harrison, I know you and I both going to keep a close eye on Liam Doyle, who's been a little bit up and down in his last few starts. But, it's kind of a shame, Harrison. I mean, it is what it is. It's nothing we did or can control. But we looked at this one in the preseason. Like, if you were to power rank like the best series of the season, some people had this one. I mean, I saw some people
top
saying
3 for sure.
This was one of the best series of the conference slate. I mean, Harrison, without spoiling my pick, I think most people are now looking at this series saying, if A&M can win a single game, that is a successful weekend for them. But here's the thing: the gauntlet begins. Does the step up in competition? Does it bring something out of A&M we haven't seen? I don't know. Your thoughts on this weekend? A very interesting weekend in Knoxville, no doubt.
Yeah, doesn't have the star power that we thought of. Highly touted, not season defining, but big moment of the season, big series of the season. One of the top, I think, 2, if not 1 preseason, now has just tumbled off the radars entirely almost. And it's because of just the flip of scripts, the opposite ends of seasons that these teams are having. And I mean, we've seen the drop-offs of national championship teams the following year. And I know we said it before, Tennessee does not have any drop-off. This team might be better than the national championship team last year. Somehow, some way, and they didn't have that drop-off, but they passed it on to the runner-up of Texas A&M, who's, just tumbling. Had a great midweek, though, I will say. But just, again, Chris, the biggest word for me is just 2 words: execution and depth. I think because Liam Doyle needs to execute at a high level like we've seen him do. He's had some rough starts up and down. He's gotten hit around a little bit, just lost command of the zone, I think, and had to battle back from behind in counts. But depth, Chris. I mean, they have a deep, deep pitching staff with a solid Friday, Saturday, Sunday, very elite Friday, Saturday, Sunday rotation with Tegan Coons on Sunday. And the youngster that he is, Chris, and just the role he's stepping up in and executing at such a high level, extremely impressed with him. And I think, like I said, Tennessee, LSU, and Texas are one of the ones that have, I think, the best 3-man rotation in the SEC in the weekend. And the depth they have, Chris, that's just 1 through 9 in the lineup. I mean, not to spend too much time on it, but I think Hunter Inslee's having maybe a better season than he did last year. And he's had a career season last year. And it's just, you have so much depth that's going to overpower A&M on all facets of the game, unfortunately, that Tennessee might sweep this weekend, Chris. I haven't taken 2 or 3 easily, but if it comes to Sunday and A&M's out of pitching, or, shorter in pitching, and you have Tegan Coons and, you have other guys in the bullpen that you can throw, and you have youngsters in the bullpen that are ready to step up and eager to get, and you have Dylan Loy maybe that you didn't have to use on Friday. I mean, you got Nate Snead, maybe you didn't have to use. You got, maybe AJ Russell comes in for an inning or 2. You never know. I mean, but they have guys that is just, ready to roll out there that are all throwing 95. It was like with deep arsenals that I think Tennessee might come away Sunday sweeping the series.
Harrison, it would be the upset of the college baseball season if Texas A&M went into Knoxville and won 2 of 3 here. I mean, it really would. Am I saying it's impossible?
This feels like David and Goliath, Chris.
Which is so crazy to say. So crazy. Like none of us thought we were going to be here, but we are. Texas A&M will be fortunate to win a game. They will be fortunate to win a single game this weekend.
Which game would you think they win?
I mean, here's the thing. With that weekend rotation, especially Friday, Saturday, could Ryan here's the thing, though. I don't think Ryan Prager's stuff is going to fool this lineup. I really don't. And I'm not saying he has bad stuff. I'm not saying it. But I don't know, man. Maybe Lampkin spins a gem and outduels Marcus Phillips, maybe. I mean, it's baseball and anything can happen, but Tennessee on their home field, again, Texas A&M will be fortunate to win a game. I'm going Tennessee. Obviously, I'm just trying to decide if I want to pick the sweep. I will. I'll pick the sweep. I think Tennessee sweeps Texas A&M. Tony Vitello and his coaching staff are going to run circles around Michael Early. Hopefully there's not a curfew in place. Hopefully there's not a curfew in place so we don't have another fiasco. But yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't really see it. I don't see the path for even A&M to win a single game.
Chris, I'm hopping on there with you. Tennessee's sweeping. I tweeted it out. It's official.
it's not even it's not even disrespectful. Like at some point, you just have to show something and prove something, and they haven't. A&M has not. You know, you got to give Tennessee their credit. Like
Chris,
they're
just
rolling.
To run through some offensive rankings to show how lopsided it really is. Tennessee's batting average is a 317, 22nd in the country. A&M 267, 190th in the country. OPS Tennessee 1,057. That's number 2 in the country. A&M 844. That's 115th in the country. ERA 2.48 for Tennessee. It's number 1 in the country. A&M a 3.94. It's 22nd in the country.
I mean, it's just lopsided across the board. I'll say this. What was it? 2 weekends ago, Vandy had 49 strikeouts in that weekend. I could see it being similar. I think Tennessee's pitchers are going to rack up the strikeouts.
Give me 40. Give me 40 strikeouts. I'm saying it.
They're going to rack up the strikeouts. I just, again, a successful weekend for A&M. If they can win a game, I think that's something to build off of.
Agreed.
I mean, heck, we'd have been saying that if they were as good as we thought they were going to be. Like, hey, it's just tough to win on the road in the SEC. Just don't get swept. Now it's like that is on major emphasis, but this is the gauntlet we were talking about. Like now the gauntlet begins. Hey, you've put yourself in such a position at 1-8. Now you have to find a way to have some winning weekends playing teams like this. And I don't see a path for it. So I'm going Tennessee. Harrison's going Tennessee. Jake, as you can imagine, is going the Tennessee Vols. Harrison, let's go to what I would argue is the series of the weekend. The Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs get set to do battle. This one's going to be a lot of fun at Dish Falk Field. Max Ballou, like we mentioned, is out for the season, unfortunately.
The regular season.
And like I titled this, good on good, as I said earlier. It is good on good. This series especially. Harrison, this is just like elite on elite.
College great on great, Chris.
Great on great. Georgia from the offensive side, 79 bombs on this season. They lead college baseball. Texas, Max Wiener and company, they've only allowed 14. So something's got to give. Either Texas is going to shut them down or Georgia's going to keep doing what they're doing. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe. But something's got to give in this scenario. I was really encouraged. I know you were as well, by what we saw from Georgia's pitching staff a weekend ago. Colton Smith was fantastic. You know, what we're seeing, the pitching is getting better in SEC play, which is a good thing because we know they can swing it. Also, the status you mentioned earlier, Harrison, we were talking the midweek. What's the status of Galvan, A-Rod? They were day-to-day. You'd have to think they're probably going to go in this, but they're a little banged up right now. Texas a little banged up, but still, man, this one's going to be a lot of fun. Texas and Georgia. Harrison, who you going with? And I will make mention, by the way, last time somebody doubted Texas on their home field and took LSU. It was the Horns that came out on top. So another big time. It wasn't you. It was me. Another big-time headliner series here in Austin, Texas. It's going to be a fun one down in the 40 acres.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I think, the best series of the weekend. I think that's kind of obvious to say, but, like, you're going to get great on great. You're going to get the best lineup in college baseball right now in Georgia, I think, at 1A and 1B with Tennessee. Just OPS-wise, they're number 1 in the country because it's insane how deep their lineup has been and gotten because of just the depth they've gotten 1 through 9. They're number 1 in OPS at almost 1,100. They're number 1 in WRC plus. That's weighted runs created plus at 189. That's 89% better than the league average. That's no slouch to Texas, though, because their OPS is 937, which is 32nd in the country. Their WRC plus is 34% better than league average at 48th rank. I mean, but the ERA at a 309, you don't have any really pitching injuries. Just hitting the lineup, right? 3rd in the country at 309. Georgia starting to get a lot better. And it's obviously the bullpen's carrying, I think, the most load of that of 4.42, 46 in the country. But Sierra's a prediction of kind of future ERAs. Georgia at 3.64. In Texas, a 3.67. 42nd and 44th. So, I mean, that's something to keep a trend on. Obviously, the home run total is absurd for Georgia. That 84 home runs versus Texas, it's 47 home runs. But I think the biggest thing is if Texas can limit Georgia's home run production, they're going to have a really great shot of winning this series because I think Texas is a lot more of a doubles team that pops home runs at a high level. Georgia's a launching out of the yard. Yeah, they have doubles, but just all their doubles feel like are not doubles because they're home runs. They just get out. And I don't think Foley Field is the biggest stadium I think it's one of the smaller stadiums. I've seen it in person. I can say that. I think Dish looks like it plays a lot bigger.
It's a pitcher's park, no doubt.
But you're also going on the road. You're going west, far, far west, Texas, right? Winning on the road in the SEC is not easy. And with the struggles that they've had pitching-wise as a whole this season, starting pitching-wise, going on the road, you want dogs on the mound, Chris. You want some dogs. You want a guy that's like a Hunter Elliott going on the road, a Marcus Phillips going on the road, Kane Anderson going on the road. You want that. You want a Jared Spencer going on the road. Georgia doesn't have those dogs starting pitching. It's like, hey, let's lock in and lock down. But I mean, they can outswing it. Absolutely, they should outswing it against Texas. But you said it best, Chris. When everyone zigs, you like to zag, and I feel like I'm zagging when everyone's zigging here, and I'm riding with the SEC team playing at home this weekend, Chris. I know the injuries are mounting up, but I think Texas just finds a way. I think they do. I think the bullpen's just as good as Georgia's. I think you have Max Grubbs and Dylan Valentis, who are two of the best relievers in college baseball in the SEC, I think. And then you now have a really strong Sunday starter consistently. He's proven over 2 starts now, Ruger Riojas, and the depth he can give you in a Sunday role has been increasingly big for them, on top of having the best pitching coach in the country, Max Wiener, and a lineup that I think they're going to be able to fill holes talent-wise because of how good at recruiting they are and just the player development at which that coaching staff is. I think they find a way in front of the home fans at Dish Falk, and they do exactly what they did to LSU, find a way to win the series. Win at any means. We say it, Chris, don't get swept on the road and win at home. And I think the Longhorns find a way to win at home, Chris. They find a way.
It's interesting, Harrison. I've doubted both of these clubs at different times throughout the season, whether it was preseason or throughout the season, obviously, and those are well documented. Heck, I picked against Texas when they faced LSU on their home field, and we all saw how that went. So, when you, like you said, when everybody zigs, I zag or what have you. So this series is a coin flip. I will say that. No doubt it's a coin flip. Going on the road in the SEC is tough. I do want to go back to good on good. Georgia has hit 79 bombs. Texas only allowed 14. This is as good a matchup as you're going to get in the SEC. It's as good as it'll get in college baseball, I would argue. I think both of these clubs are Omaha caliber. I will say that. Typically, I'm a believer in great pitching beats great hitting. Texas, loss of Max Ballou is significant, I think. Will they be able to keep up with the horses? Because Georgia, if they have proven anything to me, they are going to swing it. I don't know if there's a pitching staff in the country, including Texas's, that can slow down that lineup. Typically, again, I side with great pitching beats great hitting. I think it's the Dogs and their bats out-slugging Texas to a series win. I've seen nobody be able to quiet their lineup, and I know the pitching staff's not been good. We've been super critical of them. I think Georgia will find a way to piece it together in the pitching staff. Game 2 will be important if it is Brian Curley going. I think they probably learned from last week, and you can't leave him out there too long. I don't think he's a 6 or 7 inning guy. Probably get 4, probably maximum 5 innings out of him. Don't stretch him too far. I think Wes Johnson will be strategic with the pitching staff, but I think it's the bats yet again, man. And I think losing Ballou is a big deal. You're going to need Gasparino to have a huge weekend for them, but I think losing Max Ballou is such a big loss. I just don't know that they've got the horses in their lineup at this point to keep up with what I think Georgia's going to do, which is hit the ball over the yard. I haven't seen a ballpark they cannot hit the ball out of. I know Foley Field's not the biggest park, but they're not hitting wall scrapers. They are hitting bombs. They're feeding the trees.
Chris, the trees, it's like Thanksgiving for them every game for Georgia. You're getting not 1, not 2, but 3 servings at the table. They're just sitting. These trees can't move after the games because they're so full of baseballs. Yeah, it's
but
I am obese. They have to.
I am fascinated by the matchup. Just again, from something has to give. Something has to give this weekend in Austin. I think it's going to be the Texas Arms. I think Georgia's lineup has just shown they can hit anyone and everyone. They feast on velo. I just don't see that changing this weekend. So when everybody zigs, I'm once again zagging because I'm doubting Texas again on their home field. I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs. You are going with Texas, and Jake is going with Texas.
Chris, the injuries do scare me, I think, for sure, especially losing, Big 12 Player of the Year last year and Max Blue and the heater that he's been on, being a Golden Spikes watchlist guy and playing at an extremely high level. But I don't know. Something feels off that series. When everyone, it feels like, is leaning on Georgia, just continue to not be stopped. I know you're missing that piece of Max Blue, but talking to sources, it's going to be some combination of Winfield, Jonah Williams, Matt Scott, and Jaden Duplantier, who I'm interested to see Jonah Williams play. He's a 5-star football recruit, Chris, that enrolled early this spring. Super talented and raw athlete that can play, is what I'm being told. And I'm excited to see how they kind of manage the strategicness of that throughout the weekend, let alone game one. But I think that's going to be, the key to kind of watch for Texas is filling that role. And like you said, I mean, you got to have guys around to step up. Will Gasparino, Kimball Schlusler, I think, needs to step up as well. And Tommy Farmer, the fourth. If he has a big game, it's going to give Texas a huge boost. But it would not surprise me. Make this clear. It would not surprise me if Georgia goes into Dish Falk, goes into Texas's house, and is flying back to Athens with a series win. It would not. It would not. But it would be because of the starting pitching staff that Leighton Finley needs to give them 4 solid innings, I think, of 3 or less run baseball. It needs to be Brian Curley going 4, if not 5, of 3 or less run baseball, I think, for to give him the best chance to win. And JT Quinn, I think, in the bullpen needs to slam the door. And I think he has the ability to do so. But we'll see what happens.
It's going to be a fun one.
Anyone can beat anyone in the SEC, Chris. But great on great. I'm stoked for this. Wish I was going to be there. Unfortunately not, but I will be gorilla glued to this game all weekend long on TV.
Yeah, I'll go with, I don't know if this is a bold take, but I just think it's going to be 3 high-scoring games. I think Texas is going to have to swing it to win these games. I really do. I think Georgia's going to swing it. As good as your pitching staff may be, this goes against any pitching staff. Until I see Georgia's offense get shut down, I think they're going to swing it, man. They're going to find a way. I mean, that offense is so lethal.
You got to shut down Rylan Zaborowski.
Yeah, and that's what concerns me is just with no Baloo. I just don't know if they.
Well, but Chris, we saw Cade Fisher do it. He shut down 1 through 6 for Georgia. He shut down Devin Obrey, Robbie Burnett, Rylan Zaborowski, and Slade Alford in his 4 innings of work. Somehow, in the struggles that he's had consistently, we've seen it done from a starter. And I think that all 3 of Texas' starters are better than Cade Anderson. No disrespect to him. I just think Jared Spencer is an elite SEC pitcher. You have obviously Ruger Ellis in that Sunday role, but then you got Luke Harris in a Saturday role. If they can shut down the top half of the lineup, you can control and manage the bottom half of the lineup, I think, more than the top for sure, and give yourself the best chance to win. So we'll see what happens and how it does. And we talk about Max Wiener's a wizard. He's a wizard on the mound. They dominate the zone, Chris, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, I'm going Georgia, Harrison, Jake going Texas. Series of the weekend. I don't think it's even close. Harrison, let's go to the Iron Bowl on the diamond, that being Auburn and Alabama at Plainsman Park.
Is it called the Iron Bowl on the diamond?
I don't think so. I just made that up. But
I like it, though.
It is. It's going to be an intense weekend. If you're not paying attention, you're in the state of Alabama. Shame on you. These 2 clubs, Alabama especially, off to a really good start. I think Auburn, a quality club, postseason kind of club. This one should be – I mean, listen, it's not the football rivalry. Heck, it's not even the basketball rivalry at this point. But still, this one means a lot. These 2 sides hate each other. I expect that to spread over to baseball, obviously. Harrison, something that has nothing to do with who wins the series. I'm curious if the Saturday game gets moved because Auburn is playing in the Final Four at I think 6:30 Eastern, and this game is slated to start at 7 Central. So I'm kind of
maybe a noon Saturday game.
They need to do that.
1 o'clock.
It would be very unfortunate for the baseball game if they don't move it up. Come on.
Would you be more surprised if they didn't?
I'll be surprised if they don't, yeah, because it seems like it's a pretty easy move. It's not hard to say, hey, let's just go out there and play at noon. I mean, who's going to say no? Let's go play at 1. You don't play at noon if you don't play that early. Play at 1. Just get it out of the way before the basketball game. That, to me, would make no sense. Either way, I'm curious to see Riley Quick. Does he come back? Harrison, it wasn't a major injury, so I would think he'd be back in the rotation. This Auburn team coming off a really, really tough series sweep over the weekend at Georgia. we thought maybe they had a chance to make a statement. They ran it, obviously, that buzzsaw that is the Dogs lineup. Some close games in that one, though.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this one, Harrison? This one, again, is another one that flying under the radar a little bit, but I'm actually really, really intrigued and excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. And I think it obviously gets overshadowed just because of the Georgia-Texas series and kind of the what was of Tennessee A&M Spears supposed to be. But two teams in the middle of the pack that I think are trying to define their seasons, and this is a really good way and weekend to do so. I think Bama's a little bit ahead of Auburn right now just because of obviously the rankings, but I think a complete team who they are is a little bit higher. I know we're both a little bit higher in our power rankings on Alabama than Auburn, but both teams have struggled offensively the last 7 games. I mean, they're both under 265 hitting as a team the last 7 games. That's lower than 200th ranked in the country right now, and both are under 800 OPS. I mean, neither one of them is tearing the cover off the baseball with their bats. Obviously, they're not using torpedo bats. That's for sure. Georgia might be using torpedo bats.
Something.
If it got out and that was released, it would not surprise me. But granted, back to the Iron Bowl and the Diamond. I just think that it's gonna be gutty performances on the mound that make the difference. And obviously, I'm a pitcher. I say that, but I think just what you get on a Saturday start that helps you alleviate the bullpen some, so that when Sunday comes, it's all hands on deck, because I think it will be all hands on deck for both teams on Sunday. And, Justin LeBron, we've seen he can hit against anybody in the country. He's hit against Marcus Phillips, Liam Doyle, all these talented pitchers, right? Elite velocity, great off speed. But what around him production-wise is going to, continue to pick it up and support him. And if Auburn can kind of limit it to just Justin LeBron, or limit Justin LeBron as himself, that's the biggest thing for me, piece-wise, for Auburn that they have to do with Bama. Just kind of be who they are and get quality starts at their pitchers. Riley Quick, hope to have a good start from him. That's what you're looking for. And, Zane Adams just giving you a kind of a gutsy compete, give you a quality start. That's just kind of what their pedigree is, because none of them, I don't think Alabama stars are going to go dominate you in the stat book like a Kyson Witherspoon would, right? But then Sunday, all hands on deck, and who's available, because I think that's going to be one of the biggest things and the key factors to winning the series is not having to use a lot of the bullpen Friday or Saturday, Chris. And I mean, with that, it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be a rubber match, but I just think the Tide roll and find a way to win the series and take 2 or 3 back to Tuscaloosa with them.
Yeah, Harrison, again, this one's going to be a lot of fun. Riley Quick and his return, I'm curious to see. Ike Irish, Cooper McMurray are always a blast to watch. Ike Irish, especially the way he's been leading their lineup. Dude, I don't know what it is. I really don't. Again, when they zig, I zag. Something is telling me the home team is going to find a way to win this. I don't know what it is. I think Plainsman's going to be packed out, right? We've been kind of critical.
If they move it Saturday, if not, that'd be an advantage for Alabama.
It actually would. That's the shame in it all. If they don't move it, it will be an advantage for
Bama. Why would Rob Vaughn agree to moving it, maybe?
Well, I mean, come on, dude. Hey, gamesmanship, to your point, gamesmanship. Something tells me, though, man, I'm going to roll with Auburn here. I like the home team in this spot. I think Auburn coming off getting swept. They're at home. It should be a jam-packed house. I think they're going to be playing hair on fire, desperate. If one of these two clubs is going to wake up offensively, give me the Tigers at home to do it. There's something in my gut that tells me Auburn is going to get it done here. And, this is a big series. Alabama's sitting at 6-3 in conference play. Auburn is at 4-5. Fighting for postseason, fighting for, the two middle of the pack teams. Kind of, I say Bama middle of the pack. They're obviously higher than Auburn is right now, but I don't know, man. I think this is going to be fun. Rivalry series. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of familiarity. These guys know each other, play against each other. Some of them probably played with each other, grew up together, what have you. I'm going to go Auburn. I don't know. I'm going with the home team in this scenario. The Auburn Tigers find a way to get it done. Again, you're going with Bama. Jake is going with Bama.
And Chris, it wouldn't surprise me, like I'll say short, if Auburn wins the series, but it's going to be on the backs of a good start from Christian Chatterson, who has not been good on the mound from a standpoint of, quality starts. And, Bristol Carter, I think, needs to have a big series as well. And I think a key piece is going to be Eric Snow. I think he's going to be a key piece of that lineup, around and supporting cast for Ike Irish, Chase Frelick, and Cooper McMurray at the top of the production for that offense. So it can happen, but staying with the Tide, Chris.
I like it. Guys, let's move on to Florida and Vanderbilt down in Gainesville. You talk about a pivotal series for both sides here, and this is a big one, especially for the Gators, who sit at 1-8 in SEC play. They are fighting, essentially, it feels like already, for their postseason lives. Vandy coming off of getting swept by Arkansas, so certainly a sense of urgency is there for Tim Corbin's club as well. But, Harrison, I talked about this on Monday. I mean, this is the most pivotal 3-weekend stretch of the season for Florida. Like, if they're going to make a run to the postseason, starts now. You got Vandy this weekend at home, Missouri next weekend at home, and at Mississippi State. Those are 3 series that I feel like if you're wearing the orange and blue, you think you should win. It starts this weekend against the Commodores. Talking to folks down there, Harrison, good news for them. Liam Peterson is back in his normal game 1 role, so you're not handing the baseball to a freshman Aiden King in game 1. Obviously, that's not an ideal situation. I would assume King will go on Saturday, and Sunday, who knows? Will it be Clemente? Will it be Barbary? Will it be somebody else? We'll have to find out, wait and see. Will it be Billy Barlow? No idea. But,
you talk about having a true freshman starting the Friday roll, Chris. I mean, that's asking a lot.
Yeah, especially when they asked him last weekend on the road at Ole Miss. For Vandy, Harrison, after watching them, it's simple. I mean, I think they're going to their pitching is going to give them a chance. Their defense is phenomenal. Are they going to be able to swing it enough? And this is a Gators pitch. Steph, especially in the bullpen, Harrison. Here's the thing in this game. For Florida, no lead is safe because they don't know who wants the baseball in the 9th inning, talking to them. They don't know who wants it, who's going to step up and be that guy to shut down a ball game. They've had some inexplicable. You go back to, blown leads. You go back to the Florida State game in the midweek in Jacksonville. Then you go back to last weekend. They're up by what was it? 5 runs, I think, in that game against Ole Miss. And they surrendered that lead? I mean, so they're kind of searching, hey, who wants to be the closer? Who wants the baseball? That being said, Harrison, as you look at this series, very important for both sides, especially for the home team. Who comes out on top in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's an important series for both teams. After, Vanderbilt getting swept by Arkansas at home and just trying to stay atop the kind of the middle of tier 2 and, in the hunt of the top 25, but also for hosting a regional. Is going to be important. This series is a big piece of that puzzle for them in Florida. I think just as much as A&M, there is no room for error. Like there is, as where they are now in the stretch that they have the rest of the season. It's not as bad as A&M, but it feels like every game means so much more now for them because of that. And the question marks around, like you said, the bullpen and, who's going to be the guy coming out of the bullpen? Who's going to come shut down things? Who's going to be stepping up in a situation when, they take out the starter and put in a bullpen guy? Who's going to be that guy that steps up and, locks down and he leaves guys on bases? That's going to be the key, I think, for Florida going forward the rest of the season. But, this weekend proving that and a great opportunity and weekend to do that because you're not facing a stouted lineup like Georgia or Tennessee. You're facing Vanderbilt who, you still, as much as Florida struggled, they still have a better offensive production numbers than Vanderbilt. I mean, they're hitting 304 as a team. That's 49th in the country. Vanderbilt's hitting 275. That's 158th in the country, Chris. OPS, 938. That's 31st in the country. I mean, WRC plus, they're producing 42% more runs than the average team. That's 26th in the country versus Vanderbilt's 26% more than the average. That's 65th in the country. The desperation mode has kicked in for them. It honestly kicked in last week. You needed to get one at least against Ole Miss. And, now at home, you got to defend the homeland. You can't lose a series at home. I mean, it happens, but you can't. Like Florida can't afford to nowadays. And especially with that and getting Liam Peterson back in his rotation and his role, I think takes a lot of stress off Aiden King, especially lets him get a little bit more comfortable at Saturday role, unless, their backs against the wall after being down, a game going into game 2, but a little bit more comfortable in that later in the weekend role. But guys in the bullpen have to step up. And I mean, the bats, I think you got to have, you lose obviously Cade Curlin for the rest of the season. I think a big blow, but you do need guys step like Bobby Bowser step up. I think Luke Heyman needs to have a big weekend as well. Had
a huge one last weekend.
Blake Sear needs to have a big weekend too. I mean, he's batting 309, but we've seen him just really streaky, it feels like lately. And, you need the offensive production throughout the lineup for Florida. And the talent is absolutely there. And it's at a higher level than Vanderbilt's. I think their ceiling is as well as their floor. I think they get it this weekend somehow in Gainesville. They come out with a series win, a gutsy performance. I think we maybe get a see of who is going to be, maybe the main guy to the bullpen for Florida that is able to shut innings down. And I think we find that out this week. And I think they take a series here and a desperation series they need to win versus Florida or versus Vanderbilt, a really good team for Florida that moves their season in the right direction if they want to make the postseason.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, Harrison, who takes the fight to who this weekend. Like,
Yep.
both sides should be playing with the hair on fire, right? I mean, and if you're Florida, especially on your home field, and I mean, this is, if you're Vandy, obviously you want to win this series. Like, there's always a sense of urgency in the SEC, but Florida's 1-8. I mean, Vandy's not even in that position, obviously. After watching that Doors team last weekend, granted, again, Harrison, they were playing one of the best teams in the country in the Arkansas Razorbacks, so take it for what it's worth. But I think the Gator Bats would have to go ice cold this weekend, and I actually like the way they've been swinging in the late. You mentioned Luke Heyman had a big weekend last weekend against Ole Miss. Our guy Colby Shelton is really coming along. I agree with you. Blake Sear needs to be good. Get it going. Bobby Bozer, that big grand slam he had in the midweek. So I think Liam Peterson getting back in that game one role, if he can set the tone, he's got to be the tone setter. If he can set the tone for the weekend, you don't feel like you're not trotting a freshman out there, obviously in game one, and you're kind of playing behind the 8 ball and you're kind of nervous off the jump. I want to see this Florida team play with a sense of urgency, play with, an attitude, play with an edge. You're Florida, man. Like, you go to Omaha every year. Like, wake up.
Vanderbilt can say the same thing the past 10 years, it feels like.
Vanderbilt can say the same thing, too. So, like, who takes the fight to who? I'm curious. Can they hold on to a lead? Who wants the baseball end of game? But I do think it's the Gators taking this series again. These next 3 weekends are going to define, I think, essentially, does Florida have a shot at the postseason, or is this a lost season for Kevin O'Sullivan and company? You got to go at minimum 6-3. You'd prefer to go 7-2 with a sweep mixed in. This has got to be a series win for the Gators. I think they will get it done. I'm going Gators. You're going Gators. Jake also.
Yeah, and you got to shut down Jacob Humphrey is the leading production for Vanderbilt across the board, I think, as well as Brody Johnson. But I just think average-wise and just kind of where he is, and he steals tons of bases. But RJ Austin needs to have a big weekend for Vanderbilt if they want to win this series in Gainesville. He's batting .301, but it just feels like his presence and force isn't as aggressive or just stressful for other teams as he has shown us and the talent that he is. So Vandy boys need a big weekend from RJ Austin, amongst others, to come out of Gainesville with a series win.
Yeah, and RJ Austin, Harrison's a great player, but to your point, there's nobody in that lineup that's got real pop. Like, you really are like, man, you better.
For a freshman, Brody Johnson got some pop.
Like, here's the thing. Florida's pitchers, they should be attacking Vandy all week. Like, there's nothing to be, there's nothing to be scared of here. Like, you need to just, hey, here it is. Here it is.
They've got 24 home runs as a team. That's, I think, bottom 3 in the SEC.
Right. So, both sides level of intensity. I think you're going to see them come out, play like hair on fire, know their season's on the line. Again, all 3 of us going with the Gators to defend the home field against Vandy. Harrison, let's go to another big one. Mississippi State hosts South Carolina. Again, we hate to throw around like must win in the 4th weekend, but boy, if you're Mississippi State and your plan is to go to the postseason, you better win this one. Right? Hey, a pair of 1-8 teams in conference, Harrison, fighting for a series. Somebody's got to win a series this weekend.
Yeah.
Somebody has to. So when you look at this series, Harrison, thoughts on this one? Who comes out on top, Bulldogs or Gamecocks at Duty Noble?
Yeah, Chris. I think it's going to be, I don't want to say a loud or clean weekend for either team, but I think that Mississippi State I'm still high on Mississippi State from a standpoint of where they are as a team, even though their record is what it is at 1-8. But I just think statistically they have a very, very good offense, and they have much better pitching than South Carolina, especially headlined by Pico Khan, who we've seen outduel Kyson Witherspoon of all players on the bump on a Friday night roll. And I said they've lost that series to Oklahoma, which they shouldn't have. They were in the series with LSU all 3 games more than people think. And I just think that the ceiling for Mississippi State, you're playing at the Dude, one of the best, if not I think the best venue in SEC in college baseball. And you have the talent that they have that, it's been streaky, Chris. That's the biggest thing, is the talent they've had, Hunter Hines leading that way, but it's been streaky up and down their lineup, it feels like, and on the mound a little bit too behind Pico Khan. But what you're going to get in Friday night in Pico Khan, I don't think South Carolina has the firepower offensively to keep up with. I expect him to go 6+, 10 Ks, under 5 hits probably. And just your offensive production at Mississippi State's hitting 25 points higher than South Carolina's offense. And, the run production is a little bit more OPS wise and WRC plus wise for Mississippi State, but again, South Carolina going the road and just the lack of protection and depth that they have behind Ethan Petrie. No one in the SEC can one-man band it. I don't expect South Carolina to be able to do so. They haven't proven it this weekend. They haven't proven it this season. I don't think they prove it this weekend, Chris, at the dude.
Harrison, I will say this first off. I hope you're right on Mississippi State because obviously as someone that picked them to go to Omaha, I would like to be right on that. Weekend rotation, I was just curious. Weekend rotation for South Carolina has dropped. They're going with Jake McCoy Friday, Jarvis Evans Jr. on Saturday, and they are TBA on Sunday. I am fascinated by what the status of Dylan Eskew is and if he's going to pitch again. Obviously had the concussion protocol where he got hit in the head by a baseball in batting practice.
Home run.
I'm kind of surprised it's keeping him out this long. I mean, I don't know. Either way, I'm also going Mississippi State, Harrison. I tell you this. If State loses this one, boy, Chris Lemonis, there might be a pink slip on his door come Monday. I mean,
he's going to be heating up for sure.
Sheesh. What you talking about? Yeah. There's going to be a pink slip on the door come Monday. No doubt. No doubt. I mean, this is as much have to have as you've got to have it. And if your state, you'd like to sweep, you really would. Like, this is one where you're like, you know, if you win the series, you're like, yeah, but man, we left some meat on the bone, right? So I'm not going to call the sweep here because both of these teams are hard to trust, right? So I'm not going to call the sweep. But, boy, if you're State and you get to Sunday and you got a chance, I'd be selling out, doing everything I can to get that third win. But I am going to go Mississippi State here. I agree with you. I think Pico Cohen is going to eat that lineup alive. I think the Mississippi State pitching staff is going to eat that lineup alive. I don't trust anything outside of Ethan Petrie. Kennedy Jones here and there is a nice player, but I thought it was
I will say Nathan Hall is leading the team in average, and I think he's a really talented player, but he's just getting overshadowed by Ethan Petrie. But also, he's not a big home run guy. He's a doubles guy. He leads the team in doubles. But, you know, you even with that, you need more than two guys. You know, I say Ethan Petrie is kind of a default because of the consistency that he's played at such a high level all year in his entire collegiate career. But, like, when you have, you know, KJ Scooby, who's batting 267, but he has a little bit of pop in him. But, like, if he can pick things up, add some depth to, you know, maybe Kennedy Jones picks up. He's batting 285, which isn't bad, obviously, but just I don't trust the pop in South Carolina like I do more ceiling pop in Mississippi State, especially playing in front of your fans in a desperation series, it feels like, for postseason.
Yeah, this is one, Harrison, where, to your point, if this series was at Founders Park, you could maybe convince me that the upset could happen. But at the dude, man, I got to go with the Dogs, man. I think State finds a way. I mean, you talk about there's sense of urgency. Like, hey, you don't win this series, your postseason hopes are hanging on by a thread. This is just one you have to have if you're Mississippi State. Again, I think South Carolina is just, they're not playing with a full deck. I just don't think from a talent perspective they are going to stack up with much of anybody. But again, could be interesting at least going to game 3. But I mean, I got to go State.
I think either Sawyer Reeves or Dylan Cup have popped their first home run of the season this weekend. I think one of them does.
Okay,
we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I mean, Ace Reese has been.
He's been awesome.
Just recently, his stats aren't anything to blow you away, but like, I think he's been a really impactful player for State. That's, you know, finding his groove really, and especially, you know, adding to the depth of production that they have because they have 4 guys at like. They have 3 guys above 1,000 OPS and 2 guys just under 1,000 OPS. So like it's there. They're just not complimenting each other, pitching staff and hitting wise, like the series they lost at Oklahoma. So we'll see. But I agree with you. If it was at Founders Park in Columbia, it would be a lot harder to pick for me.
Yeah. All 3 of us, Jake McKeever included, going with Mississippi State. Although Jake said he thought that they played I believe he said, boring brand of baseball. So
he did say that. We can quote that.
This is a weekend for the Dogs to get on a heater against a struggling South Carolina team. Harrison, finally, the Arkansas Razorbacks, who fans are asking you and I both, hey, are they knocking on the door of dethroning Tennessee in the number 1 spot in the power rankings, dethroning the Vols in the number 1 overall spot in the rankings? That's a debate that can obviously rage on, but they host the Missouri Tigers this weekend at Baum Walker. Again, Mizzou sweeping the midweek. They scored 25 runs on Tuesday, maybe something to feel good about. They're looking, Harrison, for their first SEC win of the season, the last defeated team in the conference. I'm curious to see Gabe Gackle Does he put together back-to-back good starts? Mizzou, if they can do anything, one thing they can do is swing it. Seeing him in person, he was much better than he'd obviously been in previous starts. I just thought he was really, really good. And obviously the Hogs bats, what I saw from them in person was really impressive. More pop than I've seen in quite a long time. I'm going to hate myself for saying it, but Harrison, they look like the Omaha Hogs to me. I mean, they look like that caliber of team at least. Your thoughts on this one, Harrison? I think everybody knows the direction you're going to go. Maybe you're going to pull a fast one on me and really, truly zig when I think you're going to zag. But Arkansas, Missouri, thoughts on the weekend?
Chris, if they were playing Phi Delta Theta Stadium, I'd have a little bit more zag in my zig. Maybe be bold enough to do it, but I'm not. I'm not going to do that because just the opposite ends of the spectrum where these teams are, and just how consistently they're playing at that level. Because Arkansas can beat you, it feels like in 5 different ways: pitching, starting pitching, bullpen pitching, offensive production, like hitting for average and getting guys in, but also firepower of hitting the ball out of the yard, and then playing clean defense and stealing bases. I mean, I think the 5 tools of how they can beat you, and just it's going to be so overwhelming for Missouri playing at Baum-Walker that Missouri sweeps the midweek, but I think they get swept this weekend, Chris, to keep it short and simple. I mean, hey, Phi Delta Theta Stadium, Chris, undefeated this week.
Harrison, you could put this series at Phi Delta Theta Stadium. You could put it at Kappa Delta Stadium. You could put it at Phi Mu Stadium. I don't know, all the fraternities or sororities, whatever field you want to put. You could put it at the Sandlot. Arkansas is sweeping that ass this weekend, man. I'm sorry, bro. Like, Mizzou is they're going to win a conference game. Again, I took the under 3.5, but they're going to get 3, I think. And one of them is, and here's the thing too, people don't realize, like, these two hate each other. Like, Arkansas hates Missouri. This spreads into football, and like,
doesn't feel like in baseball.
It's not as much in baseball, but I think Arkansas fans will thoroughly enjoy beating up on them this weekend. I think just as a whole, I think the pitching will be dominant. I think the lineup's going to continue to stay hot. Guys I'm curious to see, can Cam Kozel, was that just one weekend thing from him against Vandy playing his old team, or does he all of a sudden, is he a mainstay? You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of curious to see what he does following up that, but yeah, Hog sweep. I don't think it's much of a discussion. Again, Missouri's going to get somebody, but it ain't going to be this weekend. I don't care what ballpark you want to play it in. As you can imagine, our guy Jake McKeever also going with the Arkansas Razorbacks. I should have messed with him and just said, Jake's going Mizzou. That's interesting. No, we're all going Arkansas here to take the series. And again, Harrison and I both calling for a sweep.
We need to drop our pick'em results so far since we're halfway through the season. See, just so everyone knows how we're talented.
Matt, how about this? Halfway through conference season, let's do it because that's when we started the pick'em. So we'll give a halfway update. 2 weeks, we'll give a halfway update. We're having a lot of fun with the pick'em. Guys, so we'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, you agree with us, disagree? Who are you picking for each of the 8 SEC series this weekend? Harrison, before we get out of here, we are going to take some questions. I know you've got some questions, though, for myself and the audience as well.
Yeah. You want me to kick it off? You want to take questions?
Yeah, you go ahead. Kick it off. Yeah.
So who wins? I know Missouri has not won an SEC game yet, and A&M has won one. But who wins an SEC game next between those two? Because they're both going up against powerhouse teams this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to bet on it, I'd still go A&M. Like, when in doubt, bet on talent. I'm still going to bet on talent.
I would agree. Also because Missouri plays at Florida next week, and Texas A&M host South Carolina.
Right. Exactly.
In a series they desperately need to win, and, should, I think.
I think they'll win a game. Way too early prediction. I think they will win a game.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's going to be kind of interesting theme, the back and forth of who's going to – because no one preseason thought they'd be fighting for conference wins head-to-head kind of with Missouri of all teams. I mean, it's wild to think, but no, my last one for you is two-parter. Who are you buying stock in so far in the SEC right now, and who are you selling stock? It doesn't have to be a ton of stock, but it can be. But who are you buying some stock in heading into the weekend and the rest of the SEC regular season?
Buy low, sell high, right? I will buy stock in Florida. I call me crazy, and maybe it's just the way they treated me down there, but I still believe the Gators can get it rolling. I really do. The next 3 weekends going to be huge. You got to go 6-3 minimum. I think you really need to go 7-2. But I'm going to buy it when it's low. It's very low. I'm going to buy Florida. They're all just lulling us to sleep, Harrison, so we have to pretend surprise when they're out there in Omaha, Nebraska, middle of the summer. Maybe that's a little too much, but at least to get to the postseason, finish up near around 500. I'll buy Florida. Sell stock. That's because I'm not going to sell like any of those top 4 really. Like even Georgia, I learned my lesson. I'm not selling Georgia stock, not selling Texas, not selling LSU, not selling Tennessee. I'm going to sell Oklahoma stock. I think Oklahoma is going to get – I'm not saying they're bad, but got off to a little bit of a hot start in conference play. I'm either selling Oklahoma or Alabama stock, honestly.
Really?
Maybe I'll sell Bama stock. Yeah.
Wow. Don't let the boys hear that one.
Hey, y'all already think I'm a non-believer, lank, all that, whatever.
Lank.
Might as well just be on brand.
Yeah, that's fair. To give you mine, selling stock, I'm between 2 teams, Oklahoma and Auburn. I just think it's from a depth of pitching standpoint, starting in bullpen. I think I'm higher on Oklahoma than I am Auburn, and I think they will finish, with a better season overall. But I think, just talent of which they have played so far and the rest of the season they have to go with the lack of, I think, star depth or depth as a whole in the SEC compared to a lot of other squads. Selling a little bit of both of those. Chris, I'm close to you, but I'm buying 1-8 Mississippi State stock. I'm buying a little bit of Mississippi State stock.
Come on, baby.
I just think statistically they are better than
somebody's got to get hot. Somebody's got to.
It's Chris, this is the same conversation we had last year of LSU and Florida. And you bought LSU stock and I bought Florida stock. It's the same. We were both struggling. Not this.
And I was selling heavy on Florida last year.
Yeah.
I sold that stock heavy.
So I think this is going to be a little postseason, rest of the season chase right here of Florida and Mississippi State. Who are stock buying is going to pay dividends, what our ROI is going to be at the end of the year, but we'll see. But those for me, Oklahoma and Auburn, selling a little bit of stock in both. Not buying a ton of stock in Mississippi State, but I'm buying some stock for sure. Buying some stock.
Harrison, I mentioned Florida's next 3 weekends. Mississippi State's next 3 weekends. South Carolina at home. We understand what they have to do. At Alabama, and per sources, SECU just might be there. And then the following week in Harrison, the Florida Gators at the Dude. I tell you this.
At the Dude. Again, you have to go to the Dude.
Right. And I tell you this. If State can put together back-to-back series wins and Florida can do the same, that's a weekend that I think is going to be a lot more fun than people expected it to be, right? Like that could be a weekend that we're like, oh, dang, this is, maybe not the best records, but from their respective perspectives, this one is as intense as it gets. Let's play a fun game, Harrison, before we get out of here. Same exercise, buy, sell stock, but the top 5 teams in the conference. You have to. Just top 5 teams. So we're talking Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas. Buy and sell of those 5. And this isn't even like you're selling stock, like, I actually think they suck. It's just if you could buy more stock in them or sell a little bit, like, who would you go?
I got you. I got mine too. I'm going to buy a little more LSU stock, Chris.
And a lot of folks in the comments are saying sell that stock. Interesting.
We'll see who
Zig
the real
when they zag. Interesting.
We'll see. But I'm buying a little more LSU stock, I think, because of the depth of the starting rotation that I really like and how they can beat you in multiple ways with, doubles and just they want to play a little small ball too. They can. We've seen it up 12-5, suicide squeezing, but also got some pop throughout the lineup. Got some backside, line drive home run pop from Derek Curio. I think has been freshman in the first half of the SEC for sure. Maybe freshman of the country. But buy a little more stock with them. I like their schedule going away. I'm sticking with my preseason guns of LSU coming up to win the SEC regular season. I'm going to sell a little bit of stock, Chris. Surprising to you and probably others. Let's sell a little bit of Texas stock. I think just with the injuries that have mounted up and, I think the depth of their team is going to get tested. And I mean, they're 8-1 right now. If they win, get to 17 wins, that's 11 wins, more in the SEC, or 16. They're probably going to host at 17 wins. They'll be a national seed probably at 17 wins, you think? I think more likely than not, but just the injuries and trying to fill that, as well as, not as much depth in the bullpen as people think. But if I had to sell some top 5 stock, it'd be a little bit of Texas, Chris. What about you?
Give me all of the Arkansas stock you have available. I'm buying all of it. After seeing them in person, again,
you're paying a high premium for that, Chris.
I hate myself for how much I'm buying, but I'm buying it. I just listen. What they do in the post, I don't know what they're going to do in the postseason. I really don't. I have all bets are off. They were my pick to win the SEC, Harrison. I feel really good about that pick. I'll be honest with you. Feel really good about that pick. What they do beyond that, I have no clue, because you know as well as I do, like, the nerves are going to be there, especially with the fan base. Again, I have no idea, but love the pitching staff, love the lineup 1 through 9. Dave Van Horn's one of the best in college baseball. Give me all the stock you can. Selling stock? Man, there's one team I could say that would really – there's a few I could say that would just send the timeline into a tizzy. Ooh, he's gonna – man, I might lose friends over this.
I know what you're going to say. Don't do it.
I think I'm going to sell a little bit of LSU stock. Just because of the youth. Just because of the youth, man. Like,
the depth they have on the bench.
I know.
Interesting.
I'm gonna sell a little bit.
Stephen
Not a ton.
LSU stock.
Not a ton.
LSU is utterly overrated. Don't tell the buy you that.
I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying from the standpoint of, like, they might finish 18-12 instead of, they might not win 20 SEC games.
They said by Arkansas.
Not saying they suck. All right. This is a fun exercise for this reason. Texas makes a lot of sense because of the injuries. I like Texas's schedule, dude. Where have we heard that before? But I like their schedule. Like, yeah. I like the way it sets up for them.
We liked it a lot more than A&M's schedule. We knew that going into the season.
I'm going to sell a little bit. I'm going to sell a little bit. I can't say Georgia because they've just made me look silly.
Yeah,
and then Tennessee, nobody. We're not touching Tennessee at all. Nobody's touching Tennessee at all.
Can physically buy A&M stock with how low it is because of the schedule the rest of the season.
No, no.
I might sell more A&M stock if I had to.
I'm crazy. I'm not insane. All right, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I put my halfway through the SEC standings, like what I projected each team to finish with, and I'll just run through them real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Arkansas 8-1. I think they finished 22-8. Georgia 8-1. I think they finished 20-10. Actually, I'll do it in. I guess I'll just keep going. Tennessee 8-1 right now. 23-7. I like the way their schedule ends up too. Texas 8-1, 20-10. These are, I think, a lot more on the high side. Obviously, LSU 7-2, 22-8. Bama 6-3. I think they finished 17-13. Ole Miss 6-3, 17-13 as well. Oklahoma 5-4, 16-14. Auburn 4-5, 12-18. You get where my stock's coming from. I'll look at their schedules. Kentucky 4-5. I think they finished 11-19. Surprisingly, someone's got to, the team, they got a loss has got to come.
Somebody's got to lose games.
Yeah, four 20-win teams, right? I'm a little more happy on that side just with how great those teams have been playing. But Vanderbilt 4-5, 14-16. Florida, Chris, close your eyes, close your ears. 1-8, 13-11-17.
That 13-17. Could still get them in, though.
Yeah, especially the SEC tournament.
And I think, too, on a side note, I think they bought up a lot of goodwill last year, being the last team in and then making Omaha.
Oh,
because you're going to be like, do we leave them out? I mean,
they did it. They showed us what they could do.
Right.
Yeah.
13-17 is all they need.
Yeah. All they need is a little bit of time and luck, right?
Right.
Mississippi State 1-8. I think they finished 16-14. If not 15-15.
That would be a hell of a finish to the season.
I think they have the talent to go to
16-14 after starting 1-8. Harrison
would be a
great finish.
South Carolina 1-8. I think they finished 8-22. So this is where a lot of those wins are coming from. Texas A&M 1-8. I think they finished 6-24.
Oh,
crazy,
God.
crazy to think.
Oh my God!
And that's 2 of 3 from South Carolina, if not 3.
Oh,
Missouri 0-9, 4-26. So
6-24.
My hot takes, Chris, are obviously that we have 3, 4, 5 teams finish with 20 wins or more. I think maybe closer to 4, but it's a little bit of a hot take there. Got to do it. So LSU 1, Tennessee 2. Tennessee 1, LSU 2, Arkansas 3, Texas 4. I think because they win the series, they're head-to-head with Georgia at 5th. Ole Miss, Alabama at 7, Oklahoma at 8, Mississippi State at 9, Vanderbilt 10, Florida 11, Auburn 12, Kentucky 13, South Carolina 14, Texas A&M 15, Missouri 16.
I like it, Harrison. Getting to some of the comments. Our guy David Speaks says, I got 25-5 for the Vols.
25 wins.
Steven says 26-4. Come on now. That's a little aggressive.
I mean,
that's
Chris,
a little aggressive.
Hey, Arkansas has to get over the hump one of these years. Maybe this is the year you picked them. You said preseason.
They've been saying that every year. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Steven, I want to. Is there a possibility of early being ousted before the end of the season? No. You don't ever see midseason firing.
Rice did it.
Well, they did that because the guy wasn't showing up to practice. I don't think Michael Early is going to stop.
Was he actually not showing up to practice?
Wasn't it Jake that told us that on Friday Night Spikes?
I don't know. That's
maybe he just told me then. I don't know. I don't know. You didn't know that, but yeah, apparently the word on the street is he just literally stopped showing up to practice. He would only show up to game day, and they were like, "You're the
that calls
coach
for in season for sure."
Yeah. So that is a very Harrison. I'm pretty sure the only there's never been a midseason firing in the SEC that did not have to do with a scandal, like the Bama coach, the gambling thing. But there's never just been you're getting fired for poor performance middle of the season.
Yeah,
never happened.
Yeah. So run through a little bit more of these comments real quick.
Yeah.
Chris and Technology is as consistent as a 90s weatherman in East Tennessee.
I promise I'll get it figured out. I appreciate y'all rolling with the punches.
The blue shirt is not a Brave shirt. It's actually I will say, where Chris is going to.
Nashville. Let's go.
Little Pred shirt, baby. Little Pred shirt.
Pred shirt. Very nice. Very nice. You've obviously
MacBook, Mac truck, mac and cheese. Doesn't matter. Cameras in 5.
Cameras going out in 5. Let me see. Steven says, Chris, what do we have to do to get you in a Vols hat in Omaha?
That one I posted about was sweet.
Which one?
I'll send it to you. The one I posted about was sweet that I reposted.
Oh, gotcha.
Michael Johnson, Hogs winning the Natty this year. Calling it now. Postseason hump, they're getting over. Wow. That's going to be crazy.
Hey, look, now, Harrison, you're stoking the fires of the Lindsey Nelson versus Foley.
I'm not wrong.
Chatter. It's a bomb box. No, here's the thing. Most of the parks in the SEC are bomb boxes, but those are the extremes. No doubt Lindsey Nelson and Foley are not friendly to pitchers. I still think Georgia's going to hit bombs this weekend. I do.
Yeah.
They're not, like I said, they're not hitting the ball 331 over the fence. They're most of them are 400-foot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's torpedo bats, I think. They're low-key torpedo bats, but I'm throwing stuff here. Got to throw my guy David Speaks up there when he talks about Tech. Tough series against Clemson. You do run rule in game 2. Top 6 team in Clemson. Big season for the rest of the way for them. I think they're top 3 in the ACC right now. So got to throw that one out there, of course, with the plug. I mean, Chris, this is the point in the season. I know you'll probably agree where it was, separation is what you put the recap of last weekend's series. This weekend series, I think even more so. Because I don't think the middle of the pack is going to be as deep as we thought. Because I think the bottom's going to be a little bit more heavier than we thought with now A&M, Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky. I mean, it's interesting to see. And I don't think any of us predicted that.
Yeah, you can get beat up in this league really quickly if you're not careful. Harrison, before we get out of here, one final, or you got one here, Sweep City, Vitello will give a masterclass of a belt-to-ass whipping. He very well might. I mean, I expect high intensity from the Vols. That fan base is going to be brutal.
Yeah, I mean,
Steven's got Georgia.
Yep. I mean, yeah, you agree with you. Dish has always been a pitcher's part.
It's always been a pitcher's part. Yeah, it's always been a pitcher's part. Yeah,
we'll see, but I mean, it's going to be that's going to be obviously the storyline I think everyone's going to be focusing on is the Georgia, Texas before we get out of here. But no, don't sleep on other series around the SEC. Like we talked about the Ole Miss ones, I think it's going to be big. Alabama, Auburn's going to be big. Obviously,
A lot of good ones
in the Final Four, but we'll see what happens. And we'll be here on Monday to recap it all. And
hey, we'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow also, Friday Night Spikes. Don't forget.
We'll see what upset we get maybe in the weekend series on Monday.
Yeah, I'm stoked to watch tonight, man.
We've got a little bit of division, but yeah.
Two series going, and especially getting OU LSU on ESPN2.
Yeah, we got some Mizzou chatter in the chat. There we go.
M-I-Z, baby. Harrison, last one. I got to do it. It's going to hurt both you and I. Sooner Cowboys. Braves can't catch a win.
I skipped over on purpose.
Braves are 0-7. No team, Harrison, in MLB history has ever made the postseason.
I'm going to give you a caveat for that, Chris. I'm going to give you a caveat.
Why not? Why not the Braves?
Why not the Braves? But, Chris, there's a second and third wild card slot now. We'll say.
Very true.
So you're saying
there's no SEC team in this conference, I'm including Mizzou, that is colder than the Atlanta Braves are. Hey, yeah, well, thank God for the off day. Thank God for an off day.
Well, Chris, I mean, the Braves have played, the teams have played the Padres and the Dodgers, who are both NLCS contenders that are also undefeated. They're 13-0 combined.
Yeah, but no shit, they're undefeated. They played the Braves.
Yeah, so we'll see. Long season. Hey, we're about 3/4 of the way through game one in the NFL equivalent.
Right. Long way to go. Hopefully the Braves can get it rolling. Guys, again, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And again, stay tuned. We'll be live tomorrow night, Friday Night Spikes, as you've come to expect. We'll keep you updated on times. Myself, Harrison, we'll see if Jake McKeever can join us, but either way, it is going to be a lot of fun, as it is each and every single Friday night. Of course, we'll return Monday on the Windup, recapping and breaking down everything. And in the meantime, I'm going to go try to solve these technical issues. So thank you all so much for rolling with the punches. Harrison, thank you, my friend, for rolling with the punches. Y'all are the best. We appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the college baseball, and we will see you all tomorrow night on Friday Night Spikes.